Hello there guys, so this week I decided to do my vlog downstairs for two reasons. One, I'm sure you're getting incredibly bored of my lovely curtain background, and two, my brother is currently upstairs playing his guitar rather loudly. Now he's very good at this, but as we have the rooms next door to each other it kind of makes life a little bit more difficult when trying to vlog. But this week's vlog is all about the perils of fangirling. So by now I'm sure you're pretty much aware that I am like one of the biggest fangirls on the internet. I mean, I've gone down the whole route. I mean, even look at my t-shirt. I'm currently wearing my Dead Lay Waiting t-shirt. Now I have a ridiculously large number of Dead Lay Waiting merchandise. I even did this to my phone, which is pretty cool, right? I mean, that's cool, obviously. I also make my own custom t-shirts, which you have seen before, and I have another one on the way, which is a real shame that it won't arrive in time for this video, I'm afraid. But what is it exactly that makes one a fangirl? And what exactly are the true perils of being a fangirl? Okay, so to really understand the mindset of a fangirl, what you have to get into your head is the fact that there are such things as fandoms. Now, fandoms can really take any form. So let's explain a fandom first of all. So a fandom is basically a group of people who are all fans of the same thing. We're not just talking, you know, they are rather partial to that particular thing. We're talking full-on obsession here, okay? So, for example, you may have heard of a few of them. There's the Sherlock fandom, the Whovians, or you can mash the two together and get the Sherlockians. I think I got that one right. Right? I can't even remember. I don't know. Anyway, so they're basically obsessed with one or two specific TV programmes. Now this can manifest itself in several ways. So they watch these shows over and over again till they know them inside out and back to front, absolutely like every day of their lives. They start making up little stories about the characters in the show. So, for example, if it's Sherlock, they might take John Watson and Sherlock Holmes and make them into a couple. So this is shipping, where you take two characters and just put them together in a relationship. That's a very common one. Then you've got other fandoms on the internet. You've got ones that are surrounded with music. So the ones that I guess I could be counted a part of would be Fearless Vampire Killers and the Dead Lay Waiting. And in those, you've got shipping again. You've got things like Keveridge, that's Kia and Lawrence from Fearless Vampire Killers. The Timids tend to get shipped together quite a lot as well. And then I know that from last year, around about the time of the Killing Is Dead tour in October, Lucas really made a big thing about Lucia, which would be incredibly cute, if but for one very vitally important factor in that they both have girlfriends. Now Lucia is Luke Lucas and Kia Kemp. Like I say, if they didn't both have girlfriends, it would be that would be pretty cute, wouldn't it? But that's the whole point. I mean, it captured people's attention and made people go, yeah, I could get on that idea. And people become obsessed with it, and then they start making pieces of artwork surrounding that particular ship, or that particular programme, or that particular band. But how do you get involved in a fandom in the first place? I mean, how do you get so sucked in? Well, this is where the perils of being a fangirl start. Okay, so, how do you get involved in fandoms? Basically, you might start off, and this is again kind of following on from technology from my last week's vlog. The internet has played a huge part in this, it's got to be said. I mean, there have always been sort of groupies, fangirls, I suppose, and they always had to find other ways to manifest themselves. They had to rely on letter writing, or hang on, I think there's a smudge on my screen. That's better. They had to rely on letter writing and magazines, and if their favourite band ended up on top of the pops, things like that. So, how does it manifest itself nowadays? Well, nowadays you might listen to a particular song and think, that's a pretty good song. The next thing you know, you might be thinking, oh, I should check this band out. I mean, I wonder if they've got a Facebook page. I wonder if they've got a Twitter account. You know, I'll just go on Google Images and just Google a few pictures of them. And so you end up doing that. And before you know it, you find other people that are also interested in this particular band. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, my God, it's not just me, I'm not alone here. There's a whole group of people out there who have the same interests as me. And then you start tweeting each other, and then you start making up little stories together, and before you know it, you've been so obsessed and sucked in by this particular thing, you can't escape. So all of a sudden, you find yourself fangirling, or fanboying. I'm a girl, so I'm saying fangirling. Fanboying as well. I know quite a few fanboys out there. Before you know it, this group of people are brought together on the internet, and you're so sucked in you can't get out, and that is when the obsession starts. Which can be both good and bad, because it can completely take over your life. Now this is where it gets bad, because I've known people who have let the obsession completely take over, and then they have become so unhappy with certain other aspects of their life, because all of a sudden reality doesn't match up to what they were expecting from their fandom. So that in itself can be a bad thing. And the internet is to blame for that, because people will stir each other up. Because if you're talking to somebody on the internet, it's very disembodied. It's very easy to just basically say anything without thinking of the consequences of what you're saying. And it stirs people up, and it really does. And people go a little bit crazy, and that's where the problems start. Now, there are of course other problems, and that's when people get really, really nasty to each other on the internet. When fandoms collide. Whoops. Now I've got to say that there's two ways of looking at this when fandoms collide thing. I want to qualify this by starting off and saying that most of the people that I've met through like Fearless Vampire Killers, Dead Lay Waiting, Sherlock, Doctor Who, things like that are absolutely lovely, and I am so proud to say that I've become friends with a few of them. And I think we'll be lifelong friends, because if you find someone you've got a lot in common with, why wouldn't you be friends with them? But then it can get a bit nasty within the same fandom. I've had experiences. Now, Tumblr is great for basically getting involved in fandoms. And I wouldn't say I was totally Fearless Vampire Killer obsessed until I discovered Tumblr. And I actually blame Kia Kemp for this. I'm telling this more for my fiance than anything. It was Kia Kemp's fault. He kept linking his Tumblr through to Twitter. And I just very sort of casually a few times went, oh, I wonder what that's all about. And got hooked. Kia's fault. Now, poor Kia. It's probably my fault, but anyway, it's an amazing place because you can literally put anything on there. You can put text, photos, videos, absolutely anything, and people kind of form their little groups on there, and then find each other on Twitter and form their little groups on there, which is absolutely fine. But I had an experience at the beginning of this year, end of last year, beginning of this year, where I was on Tumblr and I was making a lot of GIFs. Now, the reason I've stopped making GIFs now is because a load of the GIF sites are being absolutely annoying and saying you have to download YouTube videos before you can turn them into GIFs. So I'm still looking for the right piece of software that will work with my laptop so that I can make more GIFs, but also waiting for a few more new videos to come out, because I've pretty much done all the videos to death now. But basically, I had somebody on Tumblr who was stealing everything I put up there, every single GIF I made, even my own photos. I went to see Fearless Vampire Killers twice during the Killing Is Dead tour, and obviously got really excited about it. I mean, it was the first time I'd ever met the guys, and it was the first time that I'd seen them live properly since seeing them open for William Control in the summer. I took a lot of photos because I've got a really decent camera on my phone now, which is what I'm filming this with. And I put these photos up on Tumblr, Twitter, you name it. Mysteriously, this one particular person took it upon themselves to steal my own live photos and put them up as their own. Now, this really, really annoyed me, obviously, because they meant so much to me. And they meant so much to the other people that were also at the gigs, because I had people saying to me, oh, I was at those gigs, I remember that happening, I saw that myself, oh look, this is my photo that's very similar to yours, and look, I captured that same moment, and we could really bond over that. So it was annoying to have something that was mine, my own memories, being posted, and that was quite nasty, because that was within the same fandom, and like I say, most Fearless Vampire Killer fans are absolutely adorable, and we get on really, really well. But that was a moment of nastiness that now it's out there, I would rather forget it. So after this, no more. So that's one nasty moment within the fandom. Another nasty thing that can happen is when fandoms actually collide with each other. I'm going to take this week's Kerrang Awards as a really good example. Now, Fearless Vampire Killers magically were up for the same award they were up for last year, which was Best British Newcomer. Don't get me started on how they could be Best British Newcomer 2 years in a row. We'll just ignore that ever happened. They didn't win. Lower Than Atlantis won Best British Newcomer. Now, this is totally beyond me because I think, personally, I'm not a fan of Lower Than Atlantis. I'm just not interested in their music, but that's as far as it goes. So, being a Fearless Vampire Killer fan, I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't win it, but, you know, I had to let it go. Because you just let it go. I mean, let's face it, Lawrence was never going to win Tweeter of the Year when he's up against Mark Hoppus and Gerard Way. It was just never going to happen. But, yeah, okay, I was disappointed Fearless Vampire Killers didn't win, but they didn't win, so you have to get over that at the end of the day. But what I saw on Twitter and Tumblr and Facebook was really shocking. I mean, there were people who I have a lot of respect for in the Fearless Vampire Killers fandom who were being really vitriolic towards the Lower Than Atlantis fans. Now, you can't help it if you like a certain band or a certain type of music, but you can't then go and victimise another group of fans just because you didn't get your way. I mean, if Fearless Vampire Killers had won, there'd have been other groups of fans sending hate to us, and that wouldn't have been right either. Now, you just have to accept the fact that not everything is going to go your way in life. It's just the way life is. And, okay, they didn't win an award, so what? Doesn't mean that you start fights over the internet. What I saw was really disappointing for both groups of fans. I mean, there were people who were sending a load of hate to Fearless Vampire Killers and their fans, which was totally unjustified. If you don't like a band, don't listen to them. But the same goes for Fearless Vampire Killer fans who are having a go at the Lower Than Atlantis fans. Don't do that. They were really happy that their band, their favourite band, won the award. At the end of the day, it's just an award. What matters is what you get out of your band's music. If you have this enjoyment of seeing them live, of meeting them, of, you know, all the friends that you've made, that's all that matters. The awards don't matter. So basically what I'm saying is there's two sides to being a fangirl. There's, you know, you get sucked in, which is really, really dangerous in many respects, but can lead to meeting some lovely people. And on the other hand, you can get involved in some really horrible, horrible stuff without even meaning to. Well, that's it from me, because this is another epically long blog that I'm not even sure YouTube is going to let me put up. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this, subscribe, follow me on Twitter. It's @SarahCritcher. I'll put the thing up in the credits. And yeah, I will see you soon. Bye bye.